To get from the cubicle to the corner office, you need to be able to demonstrate that you're a transformative leader, not a disruptor. That intricate balance of being able to iteratively innovate within the structure of your organization is called entrepreneurship, and it takes a lot of practice. You need to be able to test your theories, to be able to get comfortable starting to lead transformative change. And if you're able to practice it, what it means is you can prevent your company from, when they line everyone up and say, who do they think is going to be next leader based on past performance, you can stop them from making that $200,000 2-year gamble on someone who really just has essentially a 2-week course. And instead, you can actually build a set of accomplishments that show you've made decisions and took actions that do what your company needs, which is take true innovation and put it into a form that's actually usable by your company. If you can do that, you will be not just a great manager, but a transformative leader that your company is looking for. Ability to practice entrepreneurship is what the Innovation Immersion Program is really offering. It's a very unique offering from Simpson College. It gives you a hands-on opportunity to test theories in a safe environment, to learn how do I actually hone and demonstrate that I have the skills to think outside the box. I have the ability to actually take everything I assume is real and sort of twist it around so I can then be that transformative leader that people are looking for. And really at the end of the day, what your company is looking for and what you're looking to demonstrate that you can do is avoid the mistake of Xerox. And the Xerox example, while most people know Xerox for decades of producing top-level copy machines, they've also produced the Alto. You've never heard of the Alto because you know it as the Macintosh. With all the capabilities Xerox had, with all the capital they had at their disposal, the individuals they had at their disposal, all the pieces of the puzzle they had. Problem was when they started looking at innovation, oftentimes they just saw the same old box in different form. And what they needed was someone who could sort of twist the world and see it from a slightly different angle. If they could find that individual, they could go into uncharted waters, and we may never have even heard of Steve Jobs. What the Wall Street Journal reports that many of our innovative companies are doing. What it's doing is taking young executives, immersing them in a startup, so they can actually go learn how to see the world differently, how to see how the most innovative, quick, nimble companies do it, for the purpose of bringing that back and being able to say, look, we aren't going to change everything about our company. We aren't going to go and throw out the book. We have hard-won experience here that is valuable. We just need to know, how can we start rethinking how we look at this, and how can we start actually preparing for a future that we really cannot predict at all? We have no idea what's coming. Merge is uniquely positioned due to its stable of innovative startups to allow corporations to come and practice this skill, to practice this ability to be an entrepreneur by putting young executives into a realm where it's a completely new business. It's something where we're tied directly to something that you think you know. Puts you on an even level of figuring out, hey, I don't know this world. I don't know if what I have applies. In the same way, our next leaders are going to need to prepare for a future they have no idea about. Here they're able to practice in an environment where that unknown is now. How it works is individuals come into the Innovation Immersion Program identifying an area that they want to focus on. That area is what they are an expert in. They have 10 to 15 years in this expert. So if you have an expertise in human resources, you've been groomed to be an executive for the human resources element within your corporation, that's the area that you should be focusing on the Innovation Immersion course. We then build a complete expert cohort of individuals, 3 to 4 deep in each subject matter expertise area. And expert cohort then is paired with a startup. During the time of the course, this expert cohort augments this startup's team and helps them develop the policies, procedures, strategies, all the things that they need to be fully investable. These startups will be between 2 and 5 individuals. They will be producing revenue. They will be real business, and they will be looking to actually go through a major investment event in the next year. They're looking for you as someone with real expertise in that area to say, this is what I know, this is how I can advise you, and this is how we can build a plan for you to go from scrappy startup to established, respectable business. Once the two sides are picked, once our expert cohort is picked, once our startup is picked, each subject matter team Each group of experts in a certain area are then working with that individual within that startup who's responsible for that area of expertise. So for example, if you're in human resources and you're partnering with the individual in that startup team who's responsible for developing that human resources plan, what you're doing and what your end objective is by the end of this course is to take everything you've learned, everything you know, everything you use every single day. Try and rethink all the assumptions you have in it. Try and implement the first question of why. Why do I do what I do? Because what we want at the end of the day is for you as that expert team to develop the policies, procedures, and strategies that are right for that startup. What you know over a decade of time, you're an expert within your company, just like the rest of your cohorts are experts in their company, and you're experts in completely different ways. You need to rethink that expertise so it can be applied externally to something else, to a different application, exactly like what you're going to have to do when you become that transformative leader within your company facing an uncertain future. This is not a book learning class. You cannot be an expert entrepreneur by just reading about it. You have to do it. And here, what we are saying is get in there, practice it, learn what's really necessary, hear what they're saying when they say this is what our need is, and then take your tools and bend them a little bit. Let's bend them, see how we can apply them, and start saying, if I can bend them for this application, which I've never seen before, I'll probably be ready to bend them for the future. And I'll be ready to take our company where it's never been before and no one's seen. This is not easy, and most people cannot do it. In the HR space, for example, everyone who's an expert in HR has become an expert in finding the right fitting person for the right role. You've got a one-to-one relationship, and that's how the world works because we're big enough we can do that. Well, in the startup world, you may have one person who's really either filling 5 roles, or we've got a few that have fill a few pieces of each. And what it means is you have to be prepared for another element, another layer of strategy that you've just never had to fully deal with. And it's going to test everything you've known and the doctrines that you've adhered to and how you became successful. It requires you to sit and say, well, I just got to look at this thing in a completely different way. And that's difficult. Most people cannot turn the card on its side to see something else out of it. And in order to help do that, we have to challenge our beliefs. And when we start challenging these beliefs, we start running into unavoidable conflict. There's an unavoidable conflict between this is real and, well, it doesn't work. How we help you get over it, what we hope you be able to take away is we're going to provide you that toolbox of 3 major tools that you'll be able to use in this class and after the class, be able to recall with that expert cohort to solve whatever problems now in front of you. The 3 major tools we'll be using here are going to be polarity management, which allows the realization of 2 what appear to be diametrically opposed positions, allow you to take those 2 apparently diametrically opposed positions and find greater ways to use them, good solutions for understanding the strengths and weaknesses of both and choosing paths that make sense for the solution. Lean business model canvas, which allows you to sort of rethink everything you think about customers, whether they be internal customers like your employees, or whether they be external customers who your employees are servicing. The lean model canvas model allows you to rethink everything you thought you knew about who you're serving. And the last piece are going to be gate-based analysis tools, which allow you to identify how are we going to judge success, how are we going to measure success, and what are we going to do if we aren't there or if we're exceeding it. With these tools, we then put the class within what is essentially a few high-density contact stretches, very similar to ABI's Leadership Iowa, where you're any other startup community where you're highly engaged with the full team for periods of time every other week over the 9 weeks. And on off weeks, you have an evening where your subgroups can get together and really start to replan out what are we going to do when we get to the next big push. There will be inevitably going to be conflicts of what people perceive as real and what is real, and for that we will have expert facilitators who come in and help us through those rough patches. There's going to be ways where we just struggle to see eye to eye, and that's where expert facilitators in our three tool sets, or in other specific areas that may come up. For example, maybe there's a public relations issue that we need a true expertise in from someone in public relations. Maybe there's something in the financial space where we need a true expert within financial modeling in order to help us understand, is this model even viable? We provide those individuals to come in and get us past any of these bumps in the road that we will have, and you will always have when you start challenging your reality. Of this activity, you'll be offered 108 engagement hours of lab-style practice with the startup, with your other teammates. 38 of those will be during working hours, and at the end of it, you'll be earning 4 CECs at a cost of $19.48 through Simpson College's Graduate and Continuing Ed program. Most importantly, more than the credits, more than anything else, you will be gaining from this class an expert cohort, a wider network of individuals. When you run into professional trouble, when you run into have those professional questions, you can go to someone and say, hey, what do you think? That is pretty valuable in itself. But the next piece is you'll have a series of continual 360s, from micro to macro 360 evaluations after each segment, after each facilitator, after each little work session, all the way to a series of 360s with the full startup and you to figure out, what are my strengths and opportunities? What have I learned about myself, about what I'm good at, about what my skills are through this course that will be hopefully the basis for you, your managers and your leadership, to figure out what is your efficient and effective path for becoming that change agent you want to be within your organization. And you'll also be earning an academic record, a transcript, a Simpson College transcript to be able to demonstrate that you were there, something that actually does, if it's something that you need to tick a box on, that's provided. But most importantly, apart from these 3 major elements, which is expanding your network, understanding more about yourself and your skill set, understanding how you move forward, being able to demonstrate to individuals you have been through this experience of entrepreneurship, and it does actually transfer from company to company. It isn't an internal course you can't take with you. It's your Simpson College record. You'll be able to figure out at the end, can you take that true innovation and turn it into usable building blocks? That will be the most important takeaway, is knowing where you sit, knowing how to hone that skill, knowing how to demonstrate that skill, and knowing how to be recognized within your organization, not as a disruptor, but as a transformative leader who can see the world not for what it's always been, but for what you can turn it into. For more information on the course itself, how to apply, everything from syllabus to applying now, please check out our website, simpson.edu/emerge-IIP.